Hi again, everyone. Today we're going to go way back in time. We're going to talk about the origins of money in nature, and we're gonna cover four topics when we do this. So starting first with evolution. This is a very big picture evolution, and species have evolved in such ways that recognizing that cooperation was hugely advantageous to a species' survival. So we'll go through a couple of examples of this. And first is the finch species on Galapagos Islands. They evolved different types of beaks as their main survival tool. And these different beaks ensured that no matter what type of critter that it was, there was some finch somewhere that had the right beak to get access to that critter and to eat it. And this focus on a certain type of insect or a bug, and you had these different beaks, it was essentially decreasing the competition for that type of critter or bug, and then that maximized the overall survival of the finch species. And then ants. Ants are sometimes called the superorganism, and how they evolved was into very specialized functions. And specialization also went hand in hand with the need for every ant to cooperate and to exchange. And then another example is two species who have evolved together, cooperating together. And the example of this is with bees and flowers. So every aspect of a flower is focused to best support a bee and letting the bees get access to the pollen and to the nectar. And in return, the bees pollinate and keep the plant species alive. And likewise, for the bees, pollen sticks to a bee's feet. Certain types of bees have these bucket-shaped items on their feet that helps transport pollen. So bees are maximized in every aspect to best support this plant species, which helps the plant survive. And then the bees, there's no aspect of nectar and pollen that goes wasted. They use every aspect of this, and the nectar and pollen help bees reproduce and then survive. And the honey and jelly also have a store of value function. So these items will last through a winter, and the bees will feed off this in the winter. It keeps the bees alive during the winter. And then nature is full of all types of relationships and examples where you have these symbiotic exchange relationships. And this is a quote I liked. It's from the book Coined, essentially saying that exchange and cooperation are inherent to a successful evolution. And nature also has its own version of store of value. So store of value is a step beyond exchange. It is storing a potential exchange until you need it. And then some examples here. One that I found interesting was with worker ants. The colony has a solution for storing food. Over the winter, there's one type of ant that stores excess food, and then throughout the winter shares it with the other ants via an oral secretion, and this allows the whole colony to get through the winter. And now moving on to human evolution. So 50 million years ago, we started down the path of cooperation, living together in small family tribes. 3 to 6 million years ago, we started walking on two legs, and this was a way to conserve energy while we were hunting, building shelter, and so on. And 2.5 to 2 million years ago, we came across language and art as well as tools. And what's important about art and language, number one, it's a big assist for cooperation. Now we could talk to each other, we could cooperate faster and easier. But the main idea is that the idea of abstract thought is really what sets us apart from the rest of nature, and this is when it started. We became aware of our need to barter. We became aware of our need to make exchanges, and we can now think about this problem and focus maybe on better solutions for it. And I've also heard the term abstraction referred to as human consciousness. And so 2 million years ago, we started having more deliberate exchanges. And the problem of barter also had two components to it. There's the one here that probably immediately comes to mind is finding the right items to exchange, but also, and this is a little more nebulous. We lived in a small family tribe, and there's just a lot of dynamics that were involved in that. And this was also the start of the human dimension piece of the money equation. Humans are fallible, and we're subject to all these different types of internal motivations which come into play in our problem solving and our thinking about money. And I think that this is really interesting. In the last 1 million years, we discovered fire, which allowed us to cook our meat, which is a way to pre-digest our food. This provided more fuel to our brain, and then provided that fuel in a very efficient manner. And our brain size in the last million years doubled. I find that crazy. And then now here's the human dilemma about money is that our brain is chock full of survival programming. The brain that we have is 50 million years of survival instincts, and this is 100 times older than our new brain that gives us this consciousness, this abstract thought, this ability to think through problems. And then one of the most popular books that dissects this topic is called Thinking Fast and Slow. And the author, Daniel, describes the type of brains as System 1 and System 2. And System 1 is your automatic impulses. You can do survival functions very well. And then System 2 is your voluntary attention, your acts of self-control. This allows you to analyze and to plan. And this is a famous illusion that shows the struggle that we have between our two different types of brains. So these two lines here are the same length, but even after I tell you that, and your System 2 brain knows that, and it knows it to be a fact, you still cannot escape what your System 1 brain, your survival brain, is telling you, that no, these lines aren't the same. But they are the same, and these two smaller lines here are perpendicular, so they are the same length. And this dilemma between the types of brains causes all types of inconsistencies in our approach to money and problem solving in general. And the book Thinking Fast and Slow goes through a couple of dozen of these problems. He puts them in 3 different baskets, and we'll do a couple of examples. And a great place to start is car dealerships, because they know exactly how to use this dilemma to their advantage. So one is anchoring, and anchoring is when you have recent information. It's hard for you not to factor that into your next decision, even though it may not be relevant at all. So when you walk into a car dealership, the first thing you're going to see is the most expensive car, and by the time you get to the car you want, it'll be a lot cheaper, and you're going to think, oh, I'm getting this car is a great value. But in reality, the price of the expensive car should have nothing to do with the value you assess to the car that you want. It's just a dealership trick that they use. And then for reciprocity, you see here comes the car salesman. The first thing they do is they offer you a bottle of water or a Diet Coke. And as humans, when someone gives us something, we've got this strong desire to reciprocate in turn. Otherwise, we may lose some social standing. So if the salesman gives you a $1 bottle of Coke, some people will pay hundreds or thousands more to buy a car, all in the name of reciprocation. And just 2 more examples. Loss aversion. We, as humans, we overweight potential losses, even if the gain or the reward is much higher. So we overweight the risk that we have to take to seek that reward. And essentially, we still can't help our 50-million-year-old brain. We are instinctually very afraid still of things that we don't fully understand, of things we don't know. And then for mental accounting, when humans work and earn money, generally we're very careful about this money that we worked for and how we spend it. But when people get money for free, like a tax return or a holiday bonus or a gift or something, we're very quick to spend that money. And even though like our modern brain says, it doesn't matter where you get the money from. You should be careful with any of the money that you have. Instinctually, our brain still treats this money different because we didn't work to earn it. It's not real money. And as humans, we really can't escape the impacts of this dilemma. And our system 1 brain, thinks rationally, but our system 2 instincts, I think I got that backwards. Our instinctual brain still keeps us tied to the 50 million years of living in this small family tribe and having to cooperate for survival. And then lastly, number 4, debt and reciprocity. So part of cooperation is the idea that you can contribute or make several exchanges over time. So you can give someone, say, an hour of your time every morning for a week or for a month, etc. And I think this is a really fun question to think about is 2 million years ago, before we had coinage, and we're at the onset of our ability to think abstractly, make tools. We still lived in this small family unit. How did we do exchanges? And I've been looking for a modern day analogy for this question, but I haven't really found any yet. But if you think back 2 million years ago, look at all the items that were available to exchange, a cow or a chicken or your own labor. The common denominator traces back to time, energy, and how much time, energy, and effort did you spend into keeping the cow alive, keeping the chicken alive, or hunting the chicken, and so on. And is the time and effort that you spent the same as what you're trading for? So it boils down to time and effort, which in a word is energy. And energy is also how the rest of nature exchanges. So both within a species and across different species, energy is nature's medium of exchange. And it also very nicely fits the definition of money. And we're going to cover more on debt in a future video, but the human perceptions that we have, the instincts that we have, and how we think about paying back debt are tied to our 50 million year old brain, which is a big part of the problems that we have today with the new types of debt that we have in the world. And in conclusion, energy is nature's medium of exchange, and species who harness cooperation have gained an evolutionary advantage. And as humans, we still have powerful ties to our 50 million year old natural instinct brain.